give everybody some time to get the notification come in. And while we're doing that, I want to make an adjustment. Okay, I think that's better. All right, nobody in just yet, which is good. Gives me time to do something I forgot to do. And hopefully I can get this done. Okay, still waiting for everybody, for most everybody. Before getting started, it gives me time to do this. I think we have, yeah, we got one person in so far. And let's see. Wonder why I can't even use my chat line over here. All right. I want to bring everyone's attention to something today that you've probably already seen it in the news. But Cern was supposed to be shut down or going through some changes. And I was thinking that I heard that it was originally going to be for 2 years that they were going to shut down. But they made an announcement. And with that announcement, it really kind of makes you scratch your head and think, well, why in the world did they announce a shutdown if they had no intention of shutting down? For those of you that watched Dark Wolf, he and I did a chat maybe 3 weeks ago, and we talked about Cern, and we talked about the way that area where Cern is looks from the sky. It has a lot of weird patterns to it. One thing Dark Wolf said was that he thought, looking at it, it almost looked like some type of a hieroglyphics, and it did kind of have that look. So I suggested when I went on his program that it kind of looked more to me like a crop circle from the air. It's got this really unique look to it. Well, there's going to be some things now that's going to change it even more. So that's what I want to talk about tonight, is what those changes could do. If you've got access to your chat line and can answer questions, that'd be great. Does anybody know what Cern's #1 goal is? I'll give you what it stands for. It stands for the Center for European Nuclear Research. That's what CERN stands for. And CERN has been around for a long time. And when I was on with Dark Wolf the other night, we did some checking about dates and times when the first Mandela effect was reported. Searches, and Dark Wolf came up with a great idea for it. What we was doing, we was just using Google basically to debunk Google or get Google to answer us, and we found some interesting dates and places. That's the weird thing. We found places where the words in different states in the United States where different states would almost have a peak one day out of the year, long before the Mandela effect was labeled Mandela effect. And you'd see like 16 or 17 surges for that word. It was very, very odd to see it like that because it was just sporadic here and there, everywhere in the United States. Another thing that we ran across too was one of the, let me see if I've got it written down here so I can say it exactly what I'm going to say it. One major thing that we noticed, and I wish he was on here right now. We noticed that there was in 2008, there was another, I believe it was 2008, there was a group put together that, I don't have the list on it, 18 different nations were part of a group that was similar, if I can say it, to CERN, but not to the degree and not to the same reach that CERN is actually doing over. So what I'll do is I'm trying to get this all set up here for you. If you look at the area where CERN is from the air, that's what you see for a map of CERN. Is that on there? Yeah, it's on there. Let me tilt my laptop and I'll show you this. All right. Now what you've got here, this is the roadways. And just like you would expect in Europe, you have roundabouts where traffic coming in enters, and I don't know how roundabouts work. If I was in Europe, I'd have trouble with them. But there's roundabouts in multiple places. So you get these circular designs. Now, this road goes on, and that road goes on, and that one goes on. The same down here. But it's that inner core of buildings. And then there's more on there. I didn't put them all in here. That makes this shape. Now, one thing too we noticed was from Google Earth, looking down on this area, we did not see one single person walking anywhere. We did not see anybody driving anywhere in CERN. We did see multiple parking lots packed. And another curious thought of that is there was an awful lot of white vehicles parked. And that seemed to almost look like another pattern. If you go online and go to Google Earth, I encourage you to do this yourself. Go straight to CERN. I can actually give you the coordinates that you're going to want to type in when you do that. Let's see here. So when you get in there, you're going to want to type in those that address. And let's see, here we go. What you'll type in when you go onto Google Earth is you're going to need to type in capital E S P L period DES PARTICLES. And then you're going to put in some numbers. You're going to go 1, the comma, 721. Now, when you do that, it'll take you right to the spot. And when you start to look at it, You can look at it from a 2D viewpoint, 3D. You can actually go down and search around the buildings and things like that. One thing too that you're going to find when you start doing that is you'll see all um, the new construction is there for what they call um, it's a new globe of science. It's right on the ground, and it's got a unique pattern around it as well. Almost resembles a turbine uh, or um, or a gyroscope to me. It's what it kind of looks like. But the Large Hadron Collider, which is where CERN was doing all its work, because CERN's goal is to reproduce creation. That's the sole desire of CERN, is to reproduce creation. Oh, finally, I got my chat up. I've had the worst trouble, guys, with my chat line. And the other night, I was talking to Martha, and I was getting shut out and told to abide by YouTube standards and everything. All right, let me see what I got over here. Meditation Man, hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Ethereum's in. Um, Shaktakan's in. And that's all who I see at the moment. All right. All right. I have no idea when you guys came in, so I don't know where to start. So um 39, that's just what they say. CERN's real agenda is toxic. Yes, I believe that. And that's why with this map that I've got here from the air, if you tilt it and turn it in different directions, and it would all come down to what all this is supposed to be. But this is the roadways, and this is the major areas of CERN. It also reminds me of the pyramids, how the Great Pyramid had chambers all throughout the way it was built to let light in, and that light would be redirected or bounced off of a mirror or silver plating or different things. And this kind of has the same kind of a deal to it. Now, the Large Hadron Collider, I will tell you all how big around it is in a second here. But does anybody know or remember how long they said that the collider, the circle, how big is it? Catching some comments here. Yeah, it does look like a circuit board. Yeah, it does. Okay, well, the Large Hadron Collider, that's where the Higgs boson or the God particle was found. Um, it was found in the Large Hadron Collider, or it was done there. The Large Hadron Collider is a 27-mile radius. Now, the news that you would see from, if you saw it today, the announcement CERN made is to build another one. And this one is going to be, I think, 62 point something miles. It's going to dwarf the other one. Now, if you're back on there looking from the air at CERN, you can't really see under a lot of these buildings and the ground. You don't really see the complete evidence of something 27 miles long or around. Well, in the first place, with this roadmap here of CERN, this circle right here that I'm kind of using is 27 miles. That's way too small. You'd have to throw that thing way out here, and come around to get that. Did it used to be 17? Um, it might be listed in kilometers. I can't think right off the top of my head how many kilometers make a mile and so forth. But this area right here, you're talking about really coming out far to make a circle for that Large Hadron Collider. And that's the other thing too. Is it Hadron or is it Hadrian? Or that seems to be changing as well a lot of times. That like button. Well, now here we go with say a 27-mile collider, and the new one to be 62 would be way off this clipboard. I mean, it would be way out here. Well, looking from the air on Google Earth now at Cern, you do not see any construction around this part. You don't see any equipment there that would be underground, boring out, doing whatever they have to do. You don't see it. One thing you do see, and we'll see, is I think it's up in here, is their globes of science. Almost got a perfect circle without looking at it, but you do see that, and you do see the crane still there and that sort of thing. But you do not see people. You do not see traffic moving on that image. But yet, the Large Hadron Collider underground, and now this bigger one, and it comes as an announcement in the midst of them saying, for 2 years, we're not going to do anything. So, what or how did they do it? Yeah, it could be misinformation from Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing you do is you don't want the attention given to your places to say you're shutting down for a period of a year or two, which is very misleading. But one of the things that really isn't in my mind is this: you have no sign of life. It's almost like a ghost town. But then on this end, up here in this area, is a golf course. Now that and the golf course I think is in France at that point, because you've got pretty much the line right here of France on this side, Sweden over here, and it goes down and changes again. But the golf course, when you look at it, you're going to be seeing a view of this area, and it's going to be a beautiful sunny day, and there's nobody on a golf course. That's odd. You've got a golf course right there that looks great, but nobody playing. Not one single golf cart out there. Somebody playing golf. The whole place has that feel of a I don't want to say a ghost town exactly again, because that's not the way I want to take that. If you remember in the Indiana Jones, and I think it was in the movie The Crystal Skull, there was a nuclear testing ground there, and they had houses built, and they had cars sitting there, and mannequins, and even things inside the homes. They wanted to see what would happen, how the bomb would do to everything in there. And I think I may be wrong on this, but I think he jumped inside of a refrigerator when the bomb was detonated, or if I'm remembering that correctly. And of course, he was okay. Um, yeah, that's right there. And that when you go there and look at their site, um, like I said, it looks like a made up uh, town or area. And I know CERN from what we can see above. This is their area, But when you start adding in the collider and now the larger one, you're talking about a big area. I don't know that they could actually build in 1 year or 2 years something that large. Probably already doing it. Who knows? But there's one thing that they're going to have a problem with these colliders. And I'll show you what that is. I'll set my little Cern map, hieroglyphics, crop circle, which is what it looks like to me. Now, I'm going to draw these a little bit smaller. Well, I was going to, and then my pen quit on me. Okay, I'm going to put down the large Hadron Collider, and I'm going to put in the new one around it. All right, kind of looks like a bad donut. Okay, this is what you've got with the colliders. Now, just for argument's sake, let's say that everything that's done goes in that direction, okay? So as they're going to be colliding different particles and doing their experiments, you got a smaller collider inside of a larger collider. Don't know if they are connected in any way or not. Don't know that. I'm going to assume they would have to be because of access to this one. Now, when you start talking about timelines and time loops and string theory and that sort of thing, one way that a person could go back in time would be to have a loop collapse upon itself. You're going at a fast enough rate that you would be taking that and bending it back, going in that direction, back around, then it collapses. And when it collapses, that's where you're going to find that you're back in time. Anything going forward is already going forward in time. And the present is really non-existent because it's always changing. And everything that is done triggers more lines, more loops. That's my theory. Now, some have some different takes on it, but that's the theory I hold to. But with the large collider that's going in there now, there's no way that there could be underground that kind of testing, that kind of motion going on, and have it not send some sort of wave or vibrations or frequencies rippling out from there into that whole area. And who knows what that might generate, because inside the planet, we know we already have electrical discharges going on inside the planet. We also know that it's basically like its own generator in there within the inner core. And then if you are taking something and spinning it fast enough or shooting it around fast enough, and for them to collide atoms and have those mini explosions taking place, there's a great amount of speed that this thing is doing this on. With those kind of frequencies coming off of something like that, you're going to create a very unstable, very unstable workplace for them. And their goal might very well be, and the reason this collider, larger one, is going to be built, it might very well be that they have figured out the collapsing of a line to go back in time, or to have these things rotating with different particles in them and actually tried to create a portal or an opening within this planet and maybe without. If the center loop was going clockwise, outer was going counterclockwise, LOL, that would be, yeah, it would be bad, that's for sure. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, it would be not a good situation. But if you've watched enough science fiction movies, a lot of times what you'll see in those movies is that something here on the Earth that's like these colliders, that they get them going in motion. And with that motion and that frequency, it ties into something off the planet out into space, and portals are opened up and black holes are formed and so forth. Well, that very well could be the case here. Although again, I'm going to make an assumption here because I don't know, and I for sure, and I would say that a lot of the information on these colliders is not going to be made public. But I'm going to assume that the framework is going to definitely stationary, because there's no way they can uh, have the whole thing able to spin. It's within it, inside it, that process and speed takes place. Now, there's going to have to be something else that's going to take place, and they've probably already run into this. You're going to have all kinds of discharge coming off of what's happening inside with the speed. Okay, so with a view from above, now here's the other thing. If you are above and you see the map of Cern, if you see that from above, and you have any kind of a I don't want to say sonar exactly, but if you have any kind of equipment on board a ship or on board an airplane that can read frequencies, you'll be able to detect what's going on down here within this place. Now, one thing I think they're going to do or end up doing, I think they're going to end up causing this to implode. If they are trying to recreate creation, which that's on their website. If they're trying to recreate creation, most scientists believe in what? Big Bang Theory. All right. You get particles going inside both of these colliders, and you have them merge, collapse upon each other, whatever they end up doing, you're going to get a sizable explosion depending on what's going on with that. And yeah, actually, I had this written down from when I was talking with Dark Wolf on his program a few weeks ago. I wrote down that it's all going to be offline for 2 years, and they said then to become more powerful. I didn't see any talk until today of this supersized collider that they're making there. So this is what the globe of science looks like. And on the map, and I think it's a diversion anyway myself, it sets off to the side, and it looks more like that. It's from ground level, you just see a dome. From up top, it's got 18 space bars. I call them space bars. They're probably more or less just with the design external rafters, or whatever they want to call it. But it almost looks like an eye from up high too. So when you get on the Google Earth and look at that, you can see that, and you'll see some of the construction equipment still around it. There's no construction equipment. There is no ground that's being tore up and broken up all the way around for a 62-mile large collider. Now, if I am wrong, I'll take all this back. I'll take it back. I'll admit I'm wrong. But I have not seen anything else that is said when this is going to be completed or when it was started. And the same thing with the Large Hadron Collider. I have not seen any information on that other than I think, and I may be wrong on this date, but I believe it was back in the 50s. Now, what year the Large Hadron Collider was built, that I don't know off the top of my head. Let's see. Now, the countries that are involved in all of this, and I wish Doc Wolf was on here because he would remember the name of the other group. Oh, here it is. I've got it. It's the Global Nuclear Energy, can't read my own writing, Partnership. So you've got CERN, which is the Center for European Nuclear Research, and then you had this other group that was created called the Global Nuclear Energy Relay Partnership. Now, I wrote down the names of the countries that are partners in this. You can find the listing of the partners in CERN, and you can also compare dates to when and how where we get our name for things come from. For instance, prior to 2013, you would assume that nobody would ever have used the term Mandela effect. Well, that's wrong, because when Dark Wolf and I were doing some more research after the program that I was on with him, we were continuing to research this, and there was spots in time going back from 2013 where a different state would all of a sudden there'd be 16, 18, 20, searches for that in one day from out of that one state. And that was more than coincidental. But the countries that are in this, you've got Australia, Bulgaria, China, France, Ghana, Hungary, Japan, Jordan, Kazakhstan. I can't say that. I never could say that one. Kazakhstan, close enough. Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Russia, Slovenia, Ukraine, and the U.S. But the U.S. withdrew from out of it. Since 2009, these countries have become part of this, and it is Armenia, Canada, Estonia, Italy, the Republic of Korea, Morocco, Oman, Senegal, and the United Kingdom. Borat country. Yeah. Yep. Now, does anybody remember when the last big waves of rumors were going around about the end of the world? Does anybody remember what year the end of the world was supposed to have been? I'm gonna look at the chat line and let you all answer the question and get a drink while I'm waiting here. What was the last year? And yep, that's it. 2012, and it was from the Mayan calendar, which just simply did not go past 2012. Now, one thing crazy about that is when you start looking at maps and overhead views, and you start thinking about what that calendar represented, it's awful similar to this. It's awful similar to the collider, again, in my point of view. Well, let's put the Mandela effect now directly into CERN. If the end of the world was supposed to have been 2012, and if 2013 was when the Mandela effect got its name that we use. The effect's been out there way before 2013. Suppose end of the world did come in 2012, and then 2013 when the I don't want to say that we're in some kind of fad or whatever with Mandela effects. That ain't right. But when the popular notion of the Mandela effect became commonplace or starting to be commonplace in 2013, that's when everybody started realizing, hey, this is different. That's changed. This person's supposed to be dead. They're not dead. And you started seeing all these different changes around you. And the answers for that could be from the fact that in 2012 that it stopped. I kind of maintain a position, and some of y'all might know this. Let's see. I maintain the notion that we are going backwards in time, not really forward. And that would make a little bit of sense if you're getting these ripples, these changes, the Schumann resonance, if you follow that, the different waves that have been emitted from these places. I believe that it's a good, strong possibility that when the Earth shifted out of the Sagittarius arm into the Orion spur or the Orion arm, that everything has been a means to get back to where it all went wrong. Patrick says, I still think I died in 2016 when the effect really hit me. And you know what, Patrick, I kind of echo those sentiments exactly because and this past year has just been unbelievably stupid for me in my life right now. And I do believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I dodged death again in July. Ended up woke up in a hospital with feeding tubes and ventilators and everything in the world. But I do believe that all the hardship and all the trouble I've had in this, well, not in 2019, but in 2018, was because I started getting a little more insight into some of the stuff with the Mandela effect and really dove into it, what it means with timelines and history and even my past timelines and history. And I think what happens is the powers that be, and I have no name to call them. I wish somebody would have come up with this name or a name for them in 2013 when they named the effect. But there's something besides us, besides the affected, which is what we are, not infected, affected. Besides us, there is the powers that be. There are those that either run this virtual reality that we're in or this simulation that we're in. There's something else trying to either stop the affected from seeing more and finding what's going on in this world out, or it's calling to us to come closer, to get in deeper. It's one or the other. What we're going to have in this is there's nothing that's going to be passive about the Mandela effect. You know, it's the Mandela effect is at times it can be hilarious and just odd. There's weird oddities that you see, and at other times it can be super serious to the point of where you start realizing and recognizing, you know, scars on your body, and you start getting part memories of deaths or of surgeries or whatever. And that's when the Mandela effect can start to get overwhelming. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. Yeah, Patrick, I believe it 100%. We are. Going backwards, linear time is a illusion. and I believe that as well. Um, Time only exists because we needed a unit of measurement for it, for the years, for the dates, and let's see, a collective, some sort of double speaking light workers. You know what is going on too, and you guys that are in different countries right now, you can check this. But I think and believe, and I'll use this as an example here. This way you can see it on this golf ball. Well, I'm gonna have to get rid of my light so you can see what I draw on it. All right. On this golf ball, there's a black line I put on that. What is going on right now with our planet is during the planet's orbit, which the Earth is constantly spinning on its own as it spins all the way around anyway, and tracks in its orbit. So it's spinning in this direction as well as moving when it spins, and how close to the sun it is at one point is uh, actually kind of opposite of what it should be, but that's where the weather patterns changes and the seasons change. But I believe, and it's been documented a little bit, that the Earth is actually tilted now more than it was. And if you're paying attention to your time, if you're paying attention to, like, say, this winter when the days are shorter, I remember vividly hunting back in 1991, I think, or 1990. I was deer hunting, and it was 6 o'clock at night, November, in Kentucky, and I was sitting there looking at my watch, and I could see this buck coming in, and I just sat there and waited on him. And at about 20 after 6, I pulled the trigger. I could still see, and it was still light enough that I pulled the trigger and shot him. Now he ran off, and then it started getting dark. But the way he ran down into this ravine, and a whole different other story. But I remember that date, November 19th. This past November 19th, it was dark almost a half an hour or more before November 19th, 1990. Our days are shorter. Now, some people have said that time itself, with watches and clocks, is moving at a faster count than what you used to be able to do with, with one Mississippi, two Mississippi, three Mississippi. But now you have to speed that up to stay up with the clocks because it's going faster. Now, another thing to consider, if you've got a planet that is spinning, when this planet spins, the top goes around it's because it's a smaller area. It's spinning at a faster rotation up here. When you get down towards, I'll turn this way. When you get down towards the equator, it's not going as fast as what the top and the bottom of the planet would spin at. You're looking at maybe 1,000 miles an hour or a second, and all the way down to 600, or said that wrong. It's backwards. 1,000 miles this way, coming down to where it's slowed down on the equator. That's right. If you ever hear people talk about going to the country of Belize, if I'm saying that right, people there kind of age slower. Why? Because it's not going near as fast as where everybody else lives in the other parts of the globe. One thing too, oh, hi, Tammy. Glad to see you come in. uh, when this is spinning like this, and it's spinning on its own as it's spinning on around in its orbit, wherever you are at, let's say you're in Australia, and I'm going to use this here. All right, your feet are touching the ground, but look at the angle of your head. Now let's put the equator back in, and let's say this is how it's going around this way, okay? But imagine this spinning. Look at literally standing on your head. Now, if you're up here in the United Kingdom, you're this way. There's always going to be around the planet those same points like that. How do you stay put? Gravity isn't a theory. You're staying put because you are stuck to a moving object. That's how you're staying put. If the Earth should suddenly stop rotating, bye bye. And think about the water, the oceans. If you spin a wet tennis ball, what do you see? You see water droplets flying off of it. You spin something fast enough, and you can lock it into place. Though, does anybody remember those carnivals or those little sideshow circuses that used to come to town sometimes, and they would have a guy on a motorcycle inside this big drum, and he would be going around and around and around to the point where he's actually going upside down or side to side, and be leaning way off in this kind of a direction as the bike's going around fast enough. That's kind of what I'm hinting at. Otherwise, your internal organs would be having a rough time with the direction you're in. The alignment of the Earth's tilt could easily be passed off as the so-called global warming ice cap melting scam. Yeah, it could be. Oh, hey, Martha. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing that people don't realize. You tell them the North Pole isn't there anymore, and they look at you like you're nuts. But then when you go on there and look again on Google Earth, there's nothing there. I remember a full continent there. Now, the one of the ideas that's getting thrown out there is that, well, what you're seeing is nothing more than little floating ice island. Well, that doesn't make sense. There never was a floating bunch of ice up there. It was a place. But if you're going to spend something, and that seems to be how everything has come about anyway, and if you're going to try to recreate creation, uh, the best way to do it would be to take it underground and go to the source, to the where the energy is, to be able to draw off of that. And there has been, I wish somebody was on here that was doing the Schumann resonance right now. There's been a lot of different activity going on there that's had a lot of spikes to it here lately. From time to time, I've seen people post on it. Well, we have no idea when Cern has decided to build this new massive 62-mile larger collider. They could have been building that over the last 2 years already. But if they're going to shut down for 2 years, that to me, that signals another thing, that the safety of what they're doing must also be in question. I'm sure that with the collider that's called the Large Hadron Collider, I'm sure that there was a lot of concerns on the safety with that. Um, what would happen during use? What would happen with particles being put in it? I'm sure there was a lot of safety issues addressed on that. But now you're going to have another one that is going to be going around the first one. And if those colliders have the ability to change direction, and again, I'm saying this because I really, and I don't think any of us really know for sure, unless we worked at Cern. But if the one in the middle was going this direction and the one on the outside was going that direction, well, you would really get some messed up frequencies and waves coming out of that thing, and that would and could create a different pull um, within the planet itself. I mean, that's a large collider that they're adding on. If we were hit by an asteroid or a meteor the size of this new collider, it would knock the Earth off its axis a little bit. It would have a huge change to the weather patterns. It would wipe out probably close to half of the Earth. That much force hitting down in that area. Oh my goodness, it would be an end of the world type scenario. It would literally destroy. Um, well, outside of taking on half the population, it would probably have ripple effects all the way around the planet that were essentially the whole planet's done for. Um, and who knows, too, if this isn't to attract something else to us. Let's see here. Okay. Have you all heard the news that was out? I think it was about a week and a half ago that we are picking up radio waves coming from somewhere out in space back towards us. And the idea there is that that the waves we're picking up is us. It's waves that we've sent out. I had a conversation with I better not mention his name. I don't know if you appreciate that or not. I was having a conversation with one in our community back 7, 8 months ago, and that idea was floated around between us that we could be receiving our own messages back to us. And if you look at time and don't visualize it as three things, past, present, and future, do away with time and look at the moment, then you could have all play in at the same time. You could be thinking of what you're going to say. You could be already hearing what you're going to say and have it already be said. If I didn't just confuse myself and everybody else too. But that would be one way of stopping us, is if the things we're creating and trying to do, that whether it be the affected or whether it be the powers that be, that is sending back some sort of hints and trigger points for our memories to realize that things we're doing is dangerous. It's going to destroy people and places, and that would be the best way to do it, is to leave those breadcrumbs. I put a video up yesterday, I believe it was. I don't know if y'all have saw it on my channel. It's up on my channel right now. It's only like maybe 4 minutes long or something. And that movie that put it up was called I Am Legend. It was released in 2007. Will Smith plays the lead role in the movie. And the movie's basically about a cure for cancer was found, but after a couple of years, the side effects of that cure turned everybody into these uh, night creatures that, vampire type deal. Um, and they were infected, and also it was infected the animals. And the movie was set in 2009. It was to make you think you were already in 2009, because at the time it was only 2007. But in one of the scenes that you'll see on my video, Will Smith is walking through a cornfield picking corn that he planted in New York City, which is funny. And in the background, these buildings, and you'll see two towers. Whether they put them there to represent the Twin Towers, I don't know, from 9/11. Whether it was a mistake, don't know. I'll leave it up to you all to figure that out. But if you go look at that, you'll see that. And in that movie, there's a insect that his daughter in the movie, when they got separated, kept pointing out to him, look, Daddy, there's a butterfly, there's a butterfly. Well, all throughout the movie, you either see a butterfly on occasion, or you would see a butterfly tattoo, or smear marks on a window would look like a butterfly, and all the way through. And it was trigger points that he was able to remember from his family. And that's probably what a lot of these effects are. But I just thought it was really, really interesting that after we had been given the 2-year shutdown of Cern, that now there's this larger collider being built. Let's see here. Reset point, just what humanity needs, not. Yeah. You take the Cern layout triangle you've drawn like a piece of pie, duplicate that drawing, fill it, till it. Oh, duplicate the drawing till it makes a circle. Would it show us more? That would be interesting, because this could be the hub point, and just like, if I'm reading what you're saying, Shark Khan, just duplicate the same thing over. Well, one thing Dark Wolf and I looked at, see the 3 roundabouts, 3 in a line. Where's the Earth right now? On the Orion spur, Orion belt, Orion arm, or whatever you want to call it. The constellation Orion, 3. Definitely not Sagittarius. Yes, it is a good idea that he had. Sadly, if any breadcrumbs were sent back, they would be ignored. Maybe why we have so many effects. New pyramids. Yeah, I would like to know, because we discover new things all the time on this planet, new insects, new birds, new animals. I would like to know what kind of changes they have seen in and around the area around Cern with farm animals and with crops, to see if any of this is having a disturbing effect. If you look at any plant, house plant, and you talk to it, it actually helps it grow. And every living thing gives off a frequency. So if you're disrupting a frequency there, it could have a huge effect on things. So I will do that, Shark Khan. Actually, I will try to draw this out and see what it looks like. Actually, I'll just run a bunch of copies of this and cut them out and them all on one big sheet of paper, see what it looks like. The weird thing about it, though, is if you go on Google Earth or Google Maps and get the satellite view, the actual ground look of the buildings and thing around it, everything surrounding Cern, there's huge open fields on this side, that side. I think there's a river that runs through here, if I'm remembering correctly. And why they would make this shape only instead of spreading it out in a like more of a box, like a shopping mall would be, great big parking area and everything centralized. Why that shape? They didn't have to do it that way. They had those land all around it. And you would have to think that if Cern was trying to buy the land around it for more buildings, more parking lots, more colliders, that they would have enough money to do that, that regardless of what landowners on either side would be asking, they would have the money to do it, especially with so many countries that support Cern. And right in the middle, too, Jerry located this for us. Right in the middle, I think right about there, is the Hindu statue that that you can go online and look at. It's right there. And actually, come to think of it, it's facing out towards the smaller end of this. I believe that's correct. But you don't see people. You don't see anything, any motion, any movement. I can Google my town and look at the satellite view on Google Earth, and I can see people that's been caught by the cameras walking a dog, maybe just a bunch of kids over playing at a park. You can see those random bits of life. You don't see that around Cern. So go check that out, and you'll see that it's accurate, and you'll see what I'm talking about also as far as where's the construction equipment for this 62-mile collider that they're building. You'll see that as well. You don't see anything. You don't even see any ground marked off for a proposal for something like that. You don't even see that. All right, let's see if is this backwards, and it probably will be. I'll write this out real fast for you. Okay, let's see. Backwards is key to them. Put it backwards instead. Yeah, that's a possibility too. It could be I'm sure it's going to be a lengthy project, but I don't know why they would announce it. That's the thing that tricked me out on this was I don't know why, if you're Cern, that you announce that you're not doing anything else, which would mean you wouldn't be operating a collider, and then come out and say you're building a larger one. Because the only way you're going to know if you did the job right, you're going to have to operate the thing. I don't know why they would do that. But like with anything, you never really know how long something's been going on to start with. And the other thing I was saying too, you can check with Google how many times a subject is mentioned, even right down to where it was mentioned at, what state, what city, and go onto the Google search and just type in first mentions of Mandela effect, and you'll start getting all these numbers and things being pitched at you. And like I said, it's really, really creepy when they say that well back of 2004, 2006, that the term Mandela effect was already being used. Now, that is almost a trip up, really, because now he's been dead since December 5th, 2013. But I remember him down in prison in the 90s. So if he died in prison in the 90s, the term would apply before 2013. So you tell me, you tell me what that means. All right, I'm going to get this written out. Hopefully you guys can see it. All right. Is this backwards to you all, or is it backwards to me? It should read ESPL. Oh, thanks for stopping in, Pat. Say hi to Rationally for me. Yeah, there, and that actually doesn't make a lot of sense if they are trying to prevent karma. All right, can you all read this, or is it backwards? Shakti Khan can read it. Okay, great. This is what you want to type in on Google Earth or Google Maps, and it'll take you right down to the way it's laid out, and you'll see what I've been talking about. Think how Masons act, same style of thing. You know something? That's a good point. Real good point there, Ian, because some of the designs on a Masonic hall, a lot of stuff looks like some of this. I could definitely see a connection. That's for sure. Yeah, thanks, Patrick. I could definitely see a Masonic interest in to some of this with design. Yeah, that's really neat. The Knights Templar as well. I could see that connected somehow with this. Okay. If you get a chance, check out that I Am Legend video I put up yesterday. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think about that. I found it really, really interesting myself. And also try to check out these views of Cern. There's one place on there, and Dark Wolf caught it. He caught this, which is really, really neat, and it is inside of these little roadways and stuff on the different buildings. There was one building that if you get in there and zoom down and look at it, the name of that building is hilarious. It has something to do with mice. Yeah, I think it's like called the Animal Shelter of Dead Mice. I think it's what they called the building. Animal Shelter of Dead Mice. That's crazy. Oh, good night, Tammy. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, check it out. That was when he found that, when we was looking at this, it was just hilarious. I think that's exactly what it was, the Animal Shelter of Dead Mice. So, and who knows what that means. There's some of you guys that's on here that's from the UK. You all are now starting to get far more publicity on cryptid creatures in and around the UK. You've got, I believe it's called the woodwoose in the UK. That basically is a Sasquatch, and then you've got on the moors, you've got different kinds of werewolves that people are starting to see again, and all kinds of light shows, UFOs, and that could be because of Cern. I would not put it past any government or any organization to experiment genetically with things. I wouldn't put it past them in a bit. Plus, when you look at how there is so many billions of people that go missing, flat out missing during the course of a year, it's scary to think of it. Let me plug David Pilati's books here real quick. The Missing 411 series. And a lot of those people are disappearing in federal state parks or federal parks. Yellowstone Park as one area that is huge when it comes to missing people. And London, I think it's in London, there is the little canals there. They're not very deep, but people are being found that have drowned in those things, when in fact I think all they would have to do is stand up and they would be safe, but yet they drown in that small area of water. I'm thinking that's in London. I may be wrong. Oh, I actually did jump on here for a second. Yeah, good to see you. But if you get a chance, check out in and around the Cern area, and don't overlook these things. I think there is a connection. I really do. I think there's a connection with what we're finding and seeing out. Okay, that was weird. For no reason at all. The top part of my laptop here just started bouncing right up and down. Get on there and look at some of the new sightings of things, and how different animals and fish are changing. There's things that are being passed off as animals and birds that we've always had that we've never had, but yet they're being found now. Oh, you're just saying hi to me. Okay. Hi. But the word cryptozoological is, it's got, to me, it's one of those words that it makes it sound less important as it really is, because it almost makes it sound like you're talking about mythology, right along with it. And it's not. Crypto means it's just an undiscovered or undocumented animal or bird or fish, and that's what cryptids are. That's what cryptozoological researchers are. They're just trying to discover the things that have not been documented. So could be that with Cern's idea of imitating or recreating creation, they could be doing experiments on animals, on crossbreeding things, and you see how just a slight change in temperature, or when I was talking earlier about the globe and how now it's kind of off a little bit. It's not rotating in the same way it did in orbit, and the days are getting shorter, and it seems like time's counting faster. There's a possibility that in all that they're doing, they could be trying to recreate creation and some of these things, these cryptids that we find running around in different countries. They could be letting them go out in a wooded area to see and to track them, see if they reproduce, see how they behave, see how they fit in. And that's very, very dangerous. We know Hitler experimented with people trying to create the master race, and we know too that in Russia they tried to crossbreed uh, male chimps with female uh, women, humans. They tried to crossbreed, and some of the stories you hear about that stuff, you get a lot of anything that was successful or close to being successful. Is it some kind of genetically modified animal or whatever? Just before it became successful, there had to be a certain number of them as well in their research that weren't successful. Where did those things go? Are they released out somewhere? Did they get away from the people? I think that the longer Cern operates, you're going to be able to see more changes in the animals around us, the birds around us, the plants around us. You're going to see more earthquakes. You're going to see more tsunamis. What is going on with that? You're going to see more tsunamis. And if you know about the waves from those things, you generate with enough force from an underwater earthquake or volcanic eruption, and it builds and travels, and that wave travels so far and just intensifies until it hits shore. Cern could be the cause of some of these things, because it only takes a little vibration to change a lot of things. Get back into the chat line here. Oh, thanks, meditation man. You're going to call it a night. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night too. I didn't realize it was this late. This stuff just fascinates me. I love talking about it. All right, guys, check out the other video. It's only like 4 or 5 minutes long, and I will probably be back on here. Let's see, probably in a couple days, maybe Friday. Come back on here. But thanks everybody for stopping in and watching, and I hope to see everybody else doing more streams as well. I enjoy them. I really enjoy them. You guys bring up a lot of good stuff. All right. Good night. Love you guys. Thanks for watching, and share it around. All right. Good night.